Hello there, it's Tania Gabrielle, Wealth Astro-Numerologist. Welcome to Star Codes, the weekly podcast where we look at an upcoming event in the stars and numbers, the astrology and numerology. In this case, we're going to be looking at two important events, highly fortunate, and a third one as well that blends together 2 days in August that are upcoming, that initiate new beginnings as well. And what I'm talking about is that Mercury will be stationing direct on August 11th in Leo, the same day that Saturn sextiles Uranus, also on August 11th. That opens up the 1111 portal. And then the next day, Jupiter and Venus will be merged together in a conjunction. These are the two benefics in astrology, and it happens in Cancer, which is so exciting. We're going to go into all of that, plus do some geodetic mapping to see where in the world you will be impacted the most. So stay tuned for that at the very end to see if you live in an area that will be very much impacted by Mercury direct and the Venus-Jupiter conjunction. So let's talk about the conjunction first, because it's not any conjunction. It truly is Jupiter and Venus, the planets of good fortune and flow and harmony and joy and abundance coming together in Cancer, the sign that Jupiter is exalted in. That means Jupiter feels especially good in Cancer. And Jupiter will remain in Cancer for a whole year until June 29th, 2026. But when Venus joins together, especially in this special sign of Cancer, it is extra exciting because you're focusing on your home. Cancer blesses family connections, where you live, your environment. This could be home office, anything to do with your home and your feeling of belonging, and moon related matters. So your most private feelings and just nesting and just feeling good internally. So that happens on August 12th. And then the day before, we have on Monday, August 11th, an incredible code that adds up to a 19 universal date. 19 is the Prince of Heaven number, and 19 reduces to 10 and 1 and has the 1 and 9 beginnings and endings, the first and last single digit. So we have a lot of 11s, 19, 1, we have a lot of 1s in the code. And that means that the 11 portal is opening up to the sun, to the light, to new beginnings that will help you feel delightful and enlightened. There's tremendous innovation in this code. So you want to immerse yourself in inspiring, inventive activities. Now, as I said, on this day, Mercury stations direct in Leo and Saturn sextiles Uranus. In fact, Saturn and Uranus are both at 1 degrees in their respective signs of Aries and Gemini. And Mercury, of course, is stationing direct as well on August 11th. Again, so many 1s in the code. Now, what's so fascinating is that Mercury's change of direction happens at 4 degrees Leo, and Venus and Jupiter on the next day, August 12th, are joining together at 14 degrees in Cancer. So let's look at that for a moment, because Mercury's in Leo, Jupiter and Venus are in Cancer. Those two signs, Cancer and Leo, follow each other. Cancer first, then Leo. And then we look at the numerology, where Venus and Jupiter are at 14 degrees, which reduces to 5. 1 plus 4 is 5. And Mercury stations direct at 4 degrees in Leo. And 4 and 5 are also consecutive. So we have a lot of, and then of course the days, Monday and Tuesday, one day after the next. So we have this forward momentum of really good, wonderful, highly positive energy at our disposal. So I want you to really take advantage of that. In particular, it follows the wonderful Lion's Gate on 8/8, which this time activated a 888 code. Go to my previous podcast for that. It also follows the incredible Aquarius full moon that happened on August 9th. And then we just keep moving forward. We have a beautiful Mars-Pluto connection where Mars is in early Libra and trining Pluto in Aquarius. That's on the 10th of August. Then on the 11th, Mercury stations direct. Saturn sextiles Uranus, which is really important. A huge amount of spontaneity goes into when Saturn and Uranus come together. The creativity that's available to you now is so incredible. You want to harness it and really use that quest for new innovation and independence to create something that's really deep and lasting, because Saturn harnesses energy and it helps you manifest, and Saturn's connected to career and to your destiny and to timing. And so you are being asked at this time to pursue what brings you joy and to manifest stunning results. And this sextile will be in play for quite a while, but it's really initiated on this Mercury direct day on August 11th. And then again on the 12th, Venus conjunct Jupiter in Cancer. But this is also putting relationships on the front burner, personal, platonic, friendship, romantic. It is about culture and music and entertainment and having a romantic relationship with life in general, which activates inner abundance that allows the prosperity to flow in your life. So you want to focus on financial flow, on the expansion of finances. You want to focus on gratitude and how lucky you are to be alive during this time of the great shift, which is totally in play and is going to keep evolving. And I will keep showing you the highlights of this shift as we progress through not only this year, but the whole decade. So we have so much here at our disposal. And by the way, if you want to tune in to even more forecasts, I have a free newsletter. You can sign up on my website on the homepage, taniagabrielle.com. I usually send about 3 e-newsletters a week plus my weekly forecast. So there's a lot there for you to really feel invigorated and motivated and inspired, and also to feel supported along the way. So let's look now at some geodetic mapping for the Jupiter-Venus conjunction, and let's start with the Mercury direct movement and see where in the world are you most impacted. So let's start in North America. You can see here in Western Canada and the northwest of the US, this is the Mercury line, Mercury stationing direct, and it is dotted. It is violet purple. You can see it move into the Pacific through Portland, just east of Seattle, then into eastern British Columbia, into Edmonton, Calgary, the Alberta province, and literally these whole areas are impacted. Northern California as Mercury moves eastward. So all these lines, if the planet isn't retrograde, most planets are moving direct, we will be seeing lines always moving from west to east. So moving to the right. So as Mercury now stations direct, it's going to move over these areas and bring a lot of communication, especially between two people, relationships, because it's the descendant Mercury line. And then as we move to the next Mercury direct line, it is really of no real consequence. You can see this dotted line moving north-south, a longitude line. This is a Mercury IC line, meaning it covers the 4th house, but it is really not overland except for St. John's in Newfoundland. So it's moving over the Atlantic now as it stations direct. Then we move to Europe, and here the line is not dotted. Here's the violet line moving over the middle of Germany, through the Czech Republic, and then through Eastern Europe, down into the area of Greece, and then Egypt. And this line, of course, will be moving east again because Mercury is now direct. So all of these areas will be impacted as Mercury now stations direct. Now in Europe, the Mercury line is an ascendant Mercury line. The ascendant is the 1st house, so it really impacts how you feel about what messages you're hearing or what messages you're sharing, or how you're communicating, how you're connecting with people personally. So it is a very important line when it is an ascendant line. So this will really benefit those of you who live in this area of Europe. And then we move to the final Mercury direct line, and this one is a midheaven line, also very important. You can see it's in far western Russia, then goes through China and into the Koreas, north and south, and then here, this is the line right here, this violet line. Again, it's not the dotted line. And then we move into the Philippines area and Southeast Asia into Australia. So these are the areas where Mercury will impact the career. Midheaven is all about how you show up professionally, how you feel about your public standing, how you are taking the lead in your life. And so for the countries in question, that will be the same. They will benefit from Mercury's direct motion now in terms of feeling emboldened in the communication and just the power to connect and get the message across. And now we're heading into the Pacific to start with Venus and Jupiter, the wonderful conjunction that's happening in Cancer. This is a 12-year event in Cancer, Jupiter's sign of exaltation. And let's go a little bit more up close. You can see here the dotted grayish line that moves diagonally here. That is the conjunction. That is the planetary line. It impacts all of Hawaii, the Big Island, but even Kauai and Honolulu. This whole area is beautifully impacted. It's wonderful for honeymoons because it is a descendant Jupiter-Venus line. That means it impacts relationships. So really wonderful for this part of Hawaii. Then as we move east to the next Jupiter-Venus conjunction, we arrive at the east coast of the US and Canada, and these areas are beautifully aspected. This is an IC line. That means it's the fourth house of Venus and Jupiter. And Cancer, the sign that this conjunction is in, you see this dotted line going north-south, this gray line here. Cancer, the sign that these two are in, is naturally the ruler of the fourth house, the IC. And that means the fourth house is all about your home, your family, everything that you feel in terms of joy and connecting with friends and loved ones and beautifying your home and feeling good about traveling and maybe finding a new home. These are all very much blessed in this area. And what we're talking about is basically anywhere from the Carolinas north into Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York State, all of New England, and then the eastern part of Canada. Very much impacted, especially these bigger cities here that you can see from Boston to New York to Philadelphia, Baltimore, DC area, Virginia Beach, etc., etc. It's really nice for this whole eastern seaboard area. And then we come to the next Jupiter-Venus conjunction, and here we see the line of Jupiter and Venus right there. It is a gray line, not dotted this time, it's diagonal, and as you can see it goes right through Spain, and it also touches on Portugal. So this area is very blessed at this time as well by this line. And in terms of Europe, the line is an ascendant line, the first house. That means you just feel good about your life, about how your body feels, and invigorated and blessed in those areas. And then finally, we come to the line right here in Asia. This is the midheaven line. So this time we have Russia, Mongolia, China. Then we come into Southeast Asia, going south just off the coast of Australia. So these countries are blessed. The midheaven line is the career line. It impacts your professional life or the professional life of the country itself, the impact of the country, just feeling good, feeling blessed. This is lovely for each of these countries to feel invigorated and strong and in a leadership position and fortunate, and many blessings of abundance as well. So as you can see, there's just a lot to be grateful for. And if you live close to these areas, you're definitely, or right where the lines are, you're definitely going to feel a shift, a forward momentum and luck. And in general, in the astrology, we all will have a sense of forward momentum because of the code that we covered earlier in this forecast. Very big forward momentum code, and the 11 portal being activated right after the 888 Lionsgate portal. There's just so much in this particular week of August that is really lovely. And with the activation of Jupiter, of Mercury, of Venus, it really inspires you to look at upcoming travel or possibilities of moving or exploring a new area. And for that, it really helps if you know your own personal best places and not so good places to live and travel. And you can discover more about astrocartography in the wonderful free masterclass, Astrocartography, The Power of Fortunate Places, which you can watch at positivelocations.com. And we cover the secret power of place, how your astrology birth chart is superimposed on the world map, what that looks like, the 5 critical components that make up your astrocartography profile, which impact your career, your relationships, your abundance, your health, friends, family, numerous celebrity astrocartography examples, which are loads of fun and bring everything to life. And a common mistake that's made if you go online, like to astro.com, and try to see your astrocartography, and you're missing out because you're not seeing the whole picture, and you'll discover what that big mistake is. And so much more is covered in this free masterclass. So head on over to positivelocations.com and enjoy that, and have an absolutely magnificent week with Jupiter and Venus blessing you in that conjunction in Cancer, and of course Mercury moving direct again in Leo. Yay for everything starting up again in a positive flow. So lots of love to you, and I'll see you in our next video.